Hey everyone, let's talk drums, because drums are pretty essential in a lot of productions. When it comes to drum choices, there's a lot of them out there. When we're talking shells and physical drums, there's a bunch of brands out there like DW, Tama, Yamaha, etc. A bunch of brands out there. When we're in the digital world, there's just as many, if not even more choices out there. There's definitely things to consider when you're searching for drum libraries, but flexibility is definitely one that I look for. Let's check out a relatively new contender. This is RCS Essentials. Okay, here we are inside of the DAW, and for those of you who are new to the channel, we kind of go over the controls first. If you want to just get to the audio examples, use the chapters down below. Okay, first and foremost, this looks a little bit different. If you haven't noticed already, this is a KONTAKT instrument. KONTAKT is from Native Instruments, and thankfully, RCS Essentials, you don't need to have a KONTAKT license. This is directly from their website. You don't need to purchase KONTAKT. This can work in KONTAKT Player as well. That's the free version from them. If you don't already know, KONTAKT is essentially a library engine from Native Instruments, and that's as deep as we're going to get into that right now because we're not going to dive into what KONTAKT is. And there's a lot going on. As we hover over, you can see there's a bunch of different controls. There's a keyboard down on bottom. Let's break this down real fast. One of the things I do like about this library is how flexible it is. With some other libraries or drum instruments out there, you're kind of limited on the shells you can choose, the snares you can choose, and even the cymbals you can choose. With RCS Essentials, they're allowing you to change lots of things. So let's go over to drums. If I click on drums or on the shells here in the main window, it brings me to a new page, and now we can see a few different choices. So let's go over some of them. Beaters, this is your kick pedal. You can see it down here. Right now we're working with a felt pedal. It's not too attacky and it's not too clicky, but it also has a decent low end. Maybe you want wool and a really soft beater on your kick drum. Maybe you're not doing like a metal or even a pop track. You're doing more of a laid back, maybe a jazz number, an orchestral piece, who knows what you're doing, and you want something a little softer. Maybe you are working on something heavy and aggressive and you just need that attack. Switch over to the wood beater. You can see 3 different beaters on the same drum, 3 different sounds. Let's expand even more by going to the right side. Now, first, let's change our shells. We can go over here, and currently we're on the mahogany set. That's what we're looking at here, but maybe I don't want mahogany. Maybe I need something different. I'm going to switch over to a maple set. Here's another option for you. Switch over to spruce, and you can see the 3 shells have 3 different sounds with the same beater on the kick drum. And if you're really astute, you may have already noticed the tuning selection underneath the shell selection. There are 3 different tunings for the 3 different sets of shells that you have within RCS Essentials. So maybe you did like mahogany, but tuning 2, which is where we were, wasn't what you wanted. Maybe we need something a little lower. Let's go to tuning 1. And I'm just clicking and dragging in the tuning. And that's going to travel across the different shells. So that's your toms and your kick drum. Maybe you need a different snare and that one was decent. You need something with a little more smack or even less. Let's switch over to our snares tab. And you can see there's even more options under snares. Snares doesn't fall under drums. That's like your toms and your kick drum. Snares has its own. Look at all of the different options we have underneath snares. Metal series, RCS drum series, Mother Nature series. So we've been on the mahogany, the matching snare drum to the mahogany set. I need a brass snare. That's exactly what I need for this song. Maybe the tuning's off. Maybe higher is the way we need to go. There, something that cracks a little. That's what we're going to stick with snares. So we have a brass snare mixed with our mahogany shells. And now let's go over to our cymbals because we have choices in cymbals as well. Splashes, crashes, hi-hats, etc. Underneath each of these, you have different options. So the china can be a 16-inch rock china or an 18-inch rock china. So there's different sounds in here for your different cymbals. Different sounds from different cymbals, all to help you build out the kit that you need for the production you're working on. Now let's check out the left half. We'll start in the middle underneath DS, and this is where we can get into the built-in mixer. So there's a lot of flexibility in here, being able to adjust your kick in and out, snare top and bottom, your different rack toms, your different toms, not just rack, the floor toms as well, and all of your different cymbals. You have spot mics on all of those. Then you also have an overhead fader. You have a room fader. There's so much going on here, and you can go into different sections and manipulate them however you need. You need some character? Sure, add some character in. Squash them, add some beef. These all do different things, giving you tons of flexibility to get the sound you need. Of course, you can always route this to multi-outs in your DAW. If you need to learn how to do that, there's a link in the description and the button in the top right-hand corner that's going to happen right now, showing you how you can do that inside Studio One. Let's keep going on, because we're not just a mixer and shells and snares and cymbals in this instrument. We also have grooves available to us, and we can just drag these into our session as needed. When we're working here though, what I have found, double click on a groove before you drag it into your DAW. And you just do that by clicking and dragging right down here, this big bar. Now I can just drag the groove in and drop it into my session. If you're using an eDrum kit, head over to MIDI, make sure that all of your mappings line up with your eDrums, or however you want it on your keyboard or your station inside your setup, however that may be. And of course, dashboard is just the dashboard. It's bringing you back home and giving you a little bit more information if you need to go into some of the presets, because there are different presets, how the shell configuration is set up, the different cymbals, the tunings, etc., etc., etc. That's all in all these different presets. That's the controls. Let's get into how this thing actually sounds. What we're going to do today is actually just pull a couple things over from my drum groove pack called Just the Basics and show you how any MIDI groove can just be dropped into RCS Essentials, and you immediately have drums, and we can go in and manipulate from there. These are the free packs from Just the Basics. There is a free version available. Head to timflansbaum.com if you want to pick this up for yourself. But we're just going to start simple. We're going to do common time, eighth notes, drag this in. Let's take a listen. So you can see jumping around using the same groove, but going through changing the shells, changing the snare, changing the cymbals gives us a ton of different options in finding the right setup for the production we're working on. Sure, we're just listening to drums today, but this is very flexible. Like we were saying earlier, it doesn't really matter the style or the genre you're using with RCS Essentials. What matters is being able to suit the song. The one thing though is you can get kind of lost diving in and just getting the right sounds. You notice that with the drums, as I'm clicking through the different shells, some tunings might sound better for certain ones and not for other ones. So you do have to play around and find out what works best for you. So there it is. That's RCS Essentials. What did you think? I want to know. Leave some comments down below and see if this is something that you're interested in checking out, how it compares to other drums out there. I'm curious. Just let me know in the comments below. If you want to pick up your own copy of RCS Essentials, use the link down in the description. It's available right now. I love making videos based on your guys' suggestions, so please leave a comment and let me know what you want to see. Until then, have some fun with your drums and happy mixing. I'll see you next time.